If you like deciding how a fight unfolds before it ever begins, do you value planning, spell placement, and deliberate power over constant movement or reactive play? Welcome to the Mage in Ashes of Creation. The Mage archetype is built around arcane power, used with intention. You don't manage fights by chasing targets, you shape them by defining where enemies can stand and when they can act. Mages thrive on foresight, resource discipline, and understanding the consequences of every cast. If you enjoy deliberate combat, controlling outcomes through planning rather than positioning, and committing power with purpose, Mage may be the class for you. So, what does a mage actually do in Ashes of Creation? At its core, the mage is an arcane damage archetype with a strong focus on area influence. You bring powerful area of effect spells, elemental pressure, and effects that can weaken or disrupt enemies when placed and timed correctly. Mage effectiveness comes from influence, not presence. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be impactful at the right moment in the right space. Unlike fighters, you don't rely on sustained pressure. And unlike rangers, your strength isn't built around constant repositioning. Your value comes from planning, spell choice, and execution. Let's talk about solo play. Mages can solo effectively when encounters are approached thoughtfully. You excel at controlling engagements before enemies reach you. Spacing, resource management, and spell timing matter more than raw output. When plans break down, mages are punished quickly. Survival depends on foresight, not reaction speed. If you enjoy solving encounters rather than overpowering them, mage solo play feels rewarding. In group play, mages function as battlefield controllers. You influence enemy movement, create zones of danger, and shape how fights progress. A strong mage doesn't only deal damage, they force enemies to move, punish poor positioning, and stabilize chaos when fights become unpredictable. Tanks anchor fights. Fighters apply pressure. Mages decide where enemies can safely stand. Good mages understand restraint. You don't cast everything immediately. You wait and apply power where it matters most. Let's talk about why mages fail. It's rarely because they lack damage. Most failures come from poor planning. New mages often overcommit early. They exhaust resources, misplace abilities, or react instead of anticipating. Too many effects, too many buttons, and not enough intentional sequencing. Strong mages think ahead. Where will enemies move? What space needs to be controlled? Mage success depends on foresight, not constant casting. Early mage progression is about learning restraint. You don't need to cast every spell available. Common early mistakes include overcasting, poor resource awareness, and ignoring positioning. Strong mages learn early to pace their power, choose spells intentionally, and avoid unnecessary risk. Your early goal isn't maximum damage. It's control and consistency. These habits scale directly into group content and PvP. Positioning is critical for a mage. You don't rely on armor or mobility to survive mistakes. You rely on placement. Where you stand determines where you can influence the fight. Good mages position to control space, not to chase damage. When your spell placement is good, enemies feel like the battlefield is shrinking. That's the mage advantage. Mages benefit heavily from preparation. Unlike archetypes that rely on armor or mobility to recover from mistakes, a mage's effectiveness depends on resource stability and sustained spellcasting. Trade skills that support cloth armor crafting, spell-focused weapons, and magical accessories naturally align with mage gameplay. Cloth armor emphasizes casting potential, but offers little forgiveness. Being able to maintain, repair, or replace that gear consistently reduces downtime and risk. Beyond equipment, alchemy plays a particularly important role for mages. Alchemy supports mana sustain, recovery, and situational preparation, all of which directly impact how long a mage can control a fight. Having access to potions and consumables means fewer forced retreats and more freedom to commit power deliberately. Cooking also complements mage play. Food buffs support long-term consistency, resource regeneration, and extended encounters, which matter when fights are decided over time rather than speed. A prepared mage, with reliable gear, alchemy support, and consumables, spends less time reacting and more time shaping the battlefield. Ashes of Creation does not hardlock gear by class. That said, mages benefit most from stats that reinforce spell impact, resource stability, and control. Attributes that support spell potency, mana sustain, and the ability to cast deliberately matter more than raw speed. Early on, your short-term gear goals are simple: reliable cloth armor that supports consistent casting and basic survivability helps stabilize your progression. Weapons and magical focuses act as extensions of your spells. Early upgrades are about reliability, not maximum output. As you progress, longer-term goals shift. You begin looking for gear that enhances influence. Stronger spell effects, better resource efficiency, and improved control over how your abilities shape space. For many mages, chase gear isn't about hitting harder. It's about casting with confidence for longer periods and controlling encounters without being forced into constant recovery. The right gear supports your plan. It doesn't replace it. Mage gameplay in Ashes of Creation follows a clear combat loop. Control, setup, burst, reset, repeat. Everything you do fits into one of those phases. First is control. You start fights at mid to long range, maintain line of sight, and establish spacing before committing power. Strong mages reposition early, not reactively. Next is setup. This is where you create advantage. You apply control effects, slow, freeze, shock, or pressure to shape enemy movement and decision-making. Setup exists to create opportunity. Then comes the burst window. This is not about spamming abilities. It's about capitalizing on the opening you created. Your strongest damage happens here, when control and setup are already in place. After that, you reset the fight. You manage mana, reposition, and avoid being pinned or overcommitted. Mobility is defensive here. It buys you time and restores control. Then the loop begins again. Control before damage. Setup creates burst. Finishers create opportunities. And resets prevent mistakes from becoming deaths. Mage power doesn't come from rushing the loop. It comes from respecting it. So, is Mage the right class for you? Pick Mage if you enjoy planning ahead, controlling space, and deciding how fights unfold through preparation. Mage excels at shaping encounters, punishing poor positioning, and influencing multiple enemies at once. However, Mage is not forgiving. Mistakes are punished quickly. Poor positioning, resource mismanagement, or rushed decisions can end fights before they truly begin. Mage also demands patience. You don't always act immediately. You wait for the right moment and commit power deliberately. If you enjoy thoughtful combat, clear risk versus reward, and mastering encounters through understanding rather than speed, Mage can be deeply rewarding. But if you prefer constant movement, reactive play, or forgiving mistakes, Mage may not be the right fit. If you enjoyed this guide, and you'd like to see more class breakdowns like this, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It helps the series grow and lets me know this content is worth continuing. And if there's a class you want covered next, leave a comment below and tell me what you'd like to see.